Welcome to the Lineman Lounge, hosted by Mike and Evo, calling their shots and being outlandish.
Breaking news from the Lineman Lounge. My fantasy football team just took a huge fucking hit. And that also makes it even more likely that the Raiders are going to beat the Ravens on Monday night. Le'Veon Bell is about to be your starter. Latavius Murray is going to go there as well. Jesus, fuck my ass.
Get ready for the thickest podcast in the game. Coming to you from Hangar 6, where sleeves are optional. Strap in. The show starts right now.
Come on down, bitches! This is the Lineman Lounge. My camera is blurry as fuck for some reason, but we are here on a beautiful, beautiful Sunday. I don't know what the fuck is going on with my camera, but I'm excited to be here. Let's, nope, that didn't fucking work either. But, man, I love the fact that we're doing a little Sunday show. We can kind of dunk on some of these other pregame shows in the morning because they kind of stink. We are fucking badass. And yeah, I'm excited to be here. We got a lot of shit to go over, but football is going to rule the day. We only got 2 hours, so we're going to have to go fucking hot and heavy getting into our shit. But Evo, how are you doing? How's the weekend going? How are we feeling about Sunday? We are going to get some fantasy stuff in there as well. We will make sure that we are paying attention and updating everybody who is in and out for games. It's one nice thing about doing this little Sunday show. We can be very in depth with some of this stuff, but
if we give out a bad Saturday take, you know, injuries, things like that pop out. It kind of sucks because it's already out there in the ether. Whereas now we're getting you the stuff right before these games start, which is awesome. But as far as my weekend, it's going pretty good so far. I've actually begun my weekend in comparison to normal, like when we do the show on Saturday, where I'm just kind of getting up and slowly starting to get my morning wood to go down. I'm actually experiencing a Saturday weekend, so it was pretty fun day yesterday. Went out, had a little bit of dinner, did a haunted hayride on the installation, and a little spooky house, which was really not spooky at all. We went through a haunted house that was a military tent with multiple areas set up. Not the best, but it was something. I think we're gonna shoot for an actual haunted house tonight. That is in the old Dust Till Dawn strip house.
Okay.
Up the road a little bit. So we'll see. And Joe Rockstar checking in. National Tight Ends Day. Let's go Niners.
Niners.
Combos.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that a lot
recently. And we will be throwing up that hotline, especially when we get into the football stuff. Joe, if you are wanting to call in today, because I'm sure that you got some thoughts on your Niners, feel free to do that, buddy. But yeah, other than that, let's get into the show, Mike. Let's start firing through these youth sports.
All right, man. So yeah, youth sports yesterday. Creighton's team, the Menor Silver A team, took on the Perry White team in the championship game. They call it the Super Bowl. It was a fantastic game. Really, it was a defensive struggle. One big play from each team, and then the deciding factor in this game was a 2-point conversion. Graydon's team, Menor Silver, they were the losers in this game. It really kind of stinks. I felt bad for the boys. They scored 6 points. They got very lucky when they scored their 6. Tip ball ended up in a receiver's hands. Takes it in for 6. Do not convert the 2-point conversion. Perry comes out. First offensive play of the game. They run a little. I wouldn't call it a bubble screen, but a slip screen. They run a little slip screen. Receiver takes it to the house. First play of the game, and then Perry did not score again for the rest of the game. The only difference in that game, though, was that Perry was able to convert on their 2-point conversion. Menor boys go down 6-8. Graydon was obviously very upset. All the boys were upset. It sucks when you lose a championship. It sucks losing, period. But when you get to that point, you lose a championship, it really hurts. But something that I've talked about with Graydon, and I think it's important to talk about with basically all you sports, winning a championship is fucking hard. I don't care what level you're at. If you were at the lowest levels of flag football, all the way up to NFL, Major League Baseball, it does not matter what level you are at. Winning a championship is incredibly hard. It takes a lot of hard work. And sometimes you're just not going to have your best that day. All you do is
getting to a championship
is hard.
I'm sitting here running through my head. I don't think there's ever been a youth sport or any sort of championship game that I've actually made it to. Maybe fantasy football, but I mean, like, definitely my professional sports teams in my lifetime, other than the Twins, which I wasn't even living in Minnesota at the time, wasn't a Twins fan. Like that was all when I was like a baby, basically. So I can't think of any championship I was even a part of. So to get to a championship alone is pretty fucking awesome.
Yeah, I mean, getting there is great. Obviously, you want to win, but that takes so much work. The boys should be very proud of themselves for the work that they did. Absolutely. If it were easy, everybody would make it there, but it's not fucking easy. It takes a lot of hard work. The boys should be very proud of the things that they accomplished this season. Everybody got better. They were a very, very good team. Unfortunately, they come out on the losing end of the stick yesterday. But I think that every once in a while, you need to lose something, right? If you win at everything your entire life, if you're just one of those people that just happens to be on a winner all the time, that things just go your way, I think you lose out on some opportunities to learn about yourself and the way you're going to respond to adversity. So obviously nobody wants to lose a championship, but when you do, you gotta flip it on its ear and find a way to make some positives out of that. Now you know what you got to work on. Go back to the lab, get better, and attack shit even harder next year. So,
I mean, it sounds like for the most part there was 2 plays in total that changed the game, and they were the first 2 plays of the game: the touchdown and the 2-point conversion. So, I mean, they played, sounds like a pretty damn good game otherwise.
Yeah, they played solid.
There's got to be a lot of positives to take out of that, and it's probably going to take a little while for those sorts of words to set in.
Be there
yeah,
sure.
you got to let that set and let things start to scab over before you start to peel away at the scabs and start to fix that issue, or not fix the issue necessarily. Maybe that's a bad way to say it, but start to find a way to build off of that and make it a learning lesson. So, hey, congratulations to Graydon on his season and that whole team. You know, like I said, making it to a championship is pretty damn awesome in and of itself. That's definitely something worth being proud of. And now you're not at the mountaintop yet. Now you got that goal to go hunt for and fight for.
Now you got more work to do. Now you got something to chase after. So, but congratulations to the boys. But that's all I got on youth sports. Anything else?
Not that I'm aware of. So I'm good to move.
All right. PS Punchers one. Did we get those up did we put those comments up there?
I threw the PS, the last one along with the puncher when we
okay.
Play up there.
Yeah, I'm not sure who the PS Punchers are. I feel like I should. It's got to be one of our coach buddies. That congratulations on the win, guys, and apparently you clinched the playoff spot. Keep rolling. So yeah, let's. We ready to dive into some other sports real quick before we start hitting the NFL?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so we're gonna take a look back yesterday. UFC 280 was supposed to be just a phenomenal card. It ended up being pretty good. I was able to catch a little bit of it. I was able to watch the Charles Oliveira fight. We were headed back from Niagara Falls yesterday, so I was able to catch that towards the end. Oliveira is very good off his back, but man, the wrestling from Makhachev was just so fucking dominant. Like, he was able to control him on the ground. Oliveira put him in some precarious situations off his back. He was trying to get some submission looks, just never quite got anything really going. And they have a new champion. I think everybody still considered Oliveira to be the champion, even though he was stripped of his title. But yeah, Makhachev, and he's going to probably be there for a while. I would not be surprised if we see Oliveira and him run it back. We could probably see a trilogy there in the near future. I'm not sure who else in that weight division even contends for a title right now. We've seen Oliveira kind of just take out everybody in that weight class.
Yeah, and that's Makhachev is. People like to make the connection to Khabib there in the lightweight, and Makhachev you see a little bit because they both are coming from what is it, Dagestan or whatever, something stand. Those guys climbing mountains and fighting goats or whatever. He ain't Khabib, and even though Khabib was in his corner there,
he was.
but the guy is pretty fucking good. He's pretty damn good. And that's not to take anything away from Oliveira, because Oliveira is pretty damn good too. And again, I didn't watch the fights yesterday, but I heard that it was a pretty good one, that Oliveira put up a good fight, and that Makhachev just was able to submit him by the end. So
yeah.
I do agree that this probably is a good storyline to watch going forward, especially between those two, that we could see this become 2 fights, 3 fights, definitely going forward. And that's the thing with Makhachev, is that he's very much so up and coming still. So I don't think he's reached his peak, and
I don't think so
that's
either.
very scary.
Yeah, he's very good. I thought he might have taken a step up too quick. I thought Oliveira would get the better of him here. Was not. I mean, he can just he wrestles fucking bears, man. Like the Dagestani people don't fuck around. Khabib's an absolute savage as well, so they're going to be able to wrestle the shit out of you. Elsewhere, UFC 280 card, a surprise in my mind, but I think a very welcome surprise. Peter Yan goes down in a very interesting split decision loss to, a guy that we
Sugar Sean
really like, in Sugar Sean O'Malley. Like, I love watching Sugar. Like, I thought this was a little bit too big of a step up for Sugar as well, because Peter Yan is one of the greatest in the world at that weight class, or what we thought was the greatest in the world at that weight class. And he out-wrestled it. He wrestled the shit out of Sugar. And it didn't matter. Like, Sugar was able to get that interesting split decision I think a lot of people did not agree with. But that's the last fight on Sugar's deal. He gets a massive win. We guarantee we're going to see a lot more of Sugar Sean O'Malley going forward in this very interesting weight class that actually had the title fight for that weight class. And Aljamain Sterling stays on top. TJ Dillashaw just didn't have it. TJ Dillashaw, I think TJ is a fantastic champion for when he was. He's about done. I thought Peter Yan was going to take it from Aljamain a couple times. Did not happen. This is kind of setting up a Aljamain Sterling, Sugar Sean O'Malley fight not too far in the distant future. If Sugar knocks off one more top competitor, I think he's going to start being in line for a title shot.
Yeah, the thought of Sugar Sean having to go up against Aljamain is scary. I mean, the Peter Yan fight, like you said, we love Sean O'Malley here, but Peter Yan's a fucking murderer. And
yes,
and to go up against him, that was scary. Hope for the best but expect the worst type situation. And Sean O'Malley was able to come out on top. And you start throwing him in the ring with Aljamain Sterling, it just seems like
if Peter Yan was able to wrestle him the way he did, if Yan was able to wrestle him the way he did, Aljamain is going to, I think, toss him around like a rag doll.
That's the way it feels. And that, again, it's a little spooky.
Yeah, I don't like that. See. But, I mean, he's one of the biggest brands in the UFC. You're going to have to start getting him ready for a title shot.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was a good card. There were some surprises. But, yeah, I'm good on the UFC. Anything else that you saw UFC-wise that you want to talk about before we hop over to a quick MLB update?
No, not really. It would just basically be postulation on my part because, like I said, I didn't get a chance to watch the fights, even though they were earlier in the day, and it's probably something that I could have done. But by the time that I noticed that they're actually going on already, I was like, oh, I can't afford to pay for it.
Yeah, you're not, obviously, since we pay for all of the fights, you're not going to wait until, halfway through to start paying for it.
Right.
All right. So Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
All right.
Cleveland Guardians, how they doing?
Yeah, they're out. Listen, we took one of the most overpaid teams in Major League Baseball to 5 games. We played very, very well. We were a thorn in their side. Bob Costas can lick my asshole. He was very obviously pretty biased in the calls of his game, but the Guardians were a surprise team to begin with. I don't think anybody expected them to be where they were. They took the Yankees to 5 games. The future looks very, very bright for this Cleveland Guardians team. I think there will be some interesting moves that happen this offseason. We're probably going to see some of these prospects rolled into a package to go get a big time player because we have too many guys. We don't have enough space to bring up all of this young talent. We're going to have to roll that over somewhere because we can't just keep them down at AAA for this long. Our window is open to go make a run at a World Series. It's a couple of years earlier than we expected, I think. But, yeah, I'm excited for the Guardians going forward. We'll see what happens this offseason. But the Yankees are just absolutely getting throttled in the ALCS by Houston. They're down 3-0. It's over. I mean, the Yankees are not coming back from 3-0. We beat the hell out of them in that bullpen in our series. It's over. I expect the Astros to go. And then the Phillies are up 3-1 on San Diego. Potentially the clinching game is today at 2:30. I would be very interested to see a Phillies Astros World Series. Doesn't matter who really wins that NL series for me. That's who I'm rooting for in the World Series because fuck the cheating Astros. And I mean, it's the Yankees. Fuck the Yankees. So.
Right. And honestly, congratulations to the Cleveland Guardians. Like you said, we started off the show this year with the MLB season talking about how you didn't think we were going to be much of anything, that it was going to be a young team trying to find some guys that were young and that could start to build out a roster. And they just completely surprised everyone and almost took down the Yankees. Like they really looked like they had a very good chance here in this first round. Unfortunately, weren't able to do it, but took them the distance at least. And that's got to be very, very a very good feeling going forward because now, I mean, I hope that Cleveland's management understands, hey, it's time to put the foot on the gas. We weren't ready for it, but this is the time that we need to put the foot on the gas, start making the correct moves, and get this team ready to go, push for a World Series title here in the next year or two, because you guys absolutely could have done that this year, and with a little bit more preparation and expectation, you could absolutely do it next year. So I guess kind of like Graydon's team, you're able to step back, see what you lost out on, see what can be fixed and tweaked, and go out and get it next year.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I'm very excited to watch this Guardians team continue to grow. But other than that, I'm rooting for the NL. I got nothing else on baseball. Are you ready to start diving in on the NFL storylines? Yeah. We got some people wanting some fantasy information.
Yep. So real quick before we jump into all that for the NFL, I'm just going to run down some of the big storylines that have happened this week, including some things like injuries and stuff like that that might be affecting some of our games, just in case we were to forget them. So first and foremost, Christian McCaffrey was traded from the Panthers on Thursday night. The fire sale has begun. Robbie Anderson got traded just before him. That is pretty much a non-signing or non-trade to me overall.
Yeah, that's a non-factor.
Robbie Anderson to the Cardinals. Christian McCaffrey goes to the 49ers. Again, I'm sure that we'll probably get a call from Joe Rockstar because he had plenty of thoughts and comments on that earlier through the week for a relative haul, especially for a running back of his age and injury history. You also have reports coming out now that the fire sale is on in Carolina. Teams have been calling about other players such as Brian Burns, DJ Moore, Derek Brown,
2 first-round picks for him.
J.C. Horn, yeah, all these players who Carolina supposedly views as fundamental players, foundational players going forward, and they're not looking to deal them. I'm sure that at some point a price could be right, which I was really surprised, honestly, that 2 firsts for Brian Burns wasn't enough. But
I am a little surprised as well. So Brian Burns is the guy that I want, like, as a Browns fan, I was like, if I'm going to trade from anybody for this fire sale, that was the guy I wanted. I wanted Brian Burns because he is a very young, talented pass rusher. He fits perfectly on the opposite side of Myles Garrett, where maybe Jadeveon Clowney does not. Jadeveon is a rotational guy that could work in. That's who I wanted. 2 first rounds. If that's not enough, nobody's got enough juice. Well, we definitely don't as the Browns. And I'm not sure anybody's going to go head higher. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not, honestly, I thought 2 firsts was too much. I like Brian Burns. I like him. And I do know that he's a young guy, but you're about to have to pay him. And I think that for me personally, he's fringe top 10 edge rusher. Fringe. And 2 firsts for that right now, it just feels like too much to me. And maybe I'm just not paying enough attention to him.
That known commodity, though, man. That known commodity. Give me the known commodity on a pass rusher rather than taking a shot on a guy coming out because not those pass rushers. If you're not getting a premier pass rusher at the top that is just looks spectacular, I don't know if you're going to get the kind of production you're getting from a Brian Burns. So 2-1s is absolute the max I would go. And even if you do have one of those first, like you could draft a guy like a Jadeveon Clowney, not a true, like really good pass rusher. He's a good player. He's got his numbers before, but he's more of an edge setter, right?
Mm-hmm.
Brian Burns is the guy who will go get after the quarterback. I think 2-1s is the most you could do, but I don't know if anybody is going to go higher than 2-1s. They already turned that down. Like I'm not going higher than 2-1s.
Yeah, unless it's coming from an even worse team than Carolina, and they think that maybe they'll be like really high picks or something. But even then, I don't think it's going to happen. In other news, the Broncos also have been getting calls about some of their players because they don't look like the team that they should have been at the beginning of the year. Calls on Bradley Chubb, Jerry Jeudy, KJ Hamler, I believe. There's turning down those calls right now because they aren't looking to deal those players.
They cannot punt on the season with Russell.
Yeah, not just yet. But it is trade season. The deadline, I believe, is November 1st. So we might see some more trades happen between now and that trade deadline, possibly some bigger name trades. I've heard Chase Claypool been thrown around a little bit, either to Dallas or the Packers.
Packers are all in on Chase Claypool from the things that I've seen.
But the asking price right now apparently is pretty high from the Steelers. So expect to see potentially some moves of some guys there.
This weekend will dictate on who is sellers and who's getting moved. If your team is middling right now and they go out and they lay an egg, you might see a guy on the move. We're not where we think we are. Let's try to build some capital back. I have a feeling that the Browns will be making one of those kinds of moves this week, probably getting rid of somebody to get some draft capital back so we can start to build the fuck back up.
All right. Other news that's important for this weekend. Russell Wilson is not playing. He's currently out, as you might have seen on the Lineman Lounge Facebook page or group. I don't remember which. He's currently out from explosive diarrhea from the Danger Witch sandwich at Subway. So he will not be playing this weekend. It is going to be Ripien starting for him. I believe Brett Ripien is the name.
Yeah.
Brett Ripien. Getting confused with his uncle, I believe. Also, it looks like DeAndre Swift is probably going to be out for the Cowboys this week. Carson Wentz has been put on IR with an injury, which means it's Heineke time. We talked a little bit about that last week. And those are some of the big injuries, the more recent injury news that has come out here in the past like 24 hours. So we try to post some of the major injury news on that Facebook group as much as possible, so that way people can be tracking. But for up-to-date stuff happening as of today, you can get that right here on the show, and we'll be looking for that popping as the show goes on. And with that, Mike, as far as I'm concerned, we can go ahead and get into these games. If you want to pull up our betting lines from
I don't want to fucking pull it up. I don't. Hey, we are officially in fade Mike season. Just start fading me. If I bet the opposite, because it's not great, guys. I thought I was gonna, have a little bounce back week. I did not. I did not even come close to having a bounce back week. It was really bad.
You need to have down weeks in order to have that hill to climb. We talked about that mountaintop. Got to go for it. I also have thrown up here on the bottom of the screen. You can see a little banner going. We have that Lineman Lounge hotline located in there. This is also absolutely the time where if you have any questions for fantasy football, things like that, just to get our takes, or if we have any other information that maybe you're not tracking, or we could try to pull up for you, feel free to go ahead and do that. Make your comments here on the YouTube page, on the Facebook page, wherever you're watching. Please make sure to go like and subscribe, because we did hit our 100 subscribers on YouTube earlier this week. was an awesome achievement for us.
Yeah.
Real happy with that. But we really
Shout
want
out
to get
to all the
these
people out
games.
there who follow us and watch and subscribe. Thank you guys so much. I feel like we hit 100. We should probably do a giveaway at some point. We'll come up with something to do for a giveaway. Maybe we'll be able to go out there and show you guys our thanks in another way. So thank you guys so much for that. And we're working on getting.
We do that 100th episode coming up right around the corner. So looking here, it looks like I had relatively solid week last week. You had the inverse of that solid week, unfortunately.
Yeah, it was terrible.
But hey, it's all right. You can get it back this week, right?
I fucking hope so. It didn't start out great. We started with the Saints on Thursday night. But yeah, I mean, the 49ers I expected to at least fucking win. That didn't happen. Packers, I thought they'd win. I thought going money lines on a lot of these would make it easier. It didn't work out. Tampa, fucking what the hell? But okay, so the Chiefs Bills, that was a good game. I thought it would be a closer game than what it was. There was a chance that I thought it was going to be closer, but the goddamn Bills went for it on fourth down instead of just kicking the field goal, making it a 1-point game. Had they taken the early points, I thought like maybe there would have been a slight cover. Didn't happen. Cowboys, no. Chargers can't cover. Fucking Browns stink. And then your Vikings were able to really put together a really good game and kind of seal that thing away. So right now, I'm telling you, fade me for now until I turn it around. Listen, you're either hot or you're due, and I am due as fuck. But I would not bet me right now. Fade my ass. I'm just going to be real about it. It has not been great.
Give it a week of Mike getting back on the saddle, and then start watching those picks. And I am not a mathematician by any means. I believe I have roughly around a 52% correct pick rate right now, which just barely gets you into the positive. I'll take it where I can get it. But it's not going well for us either so far this week, because it turns out that on Thursday night, Kyler and the Cardinals were actually able to squeak out a win versus the Saints. And by squeak out, I mean they were able to be relatively dominant for most of the game. That Saints team did not look like they were supposed to be there. Andy Dalton didn't help him, throwing 2 pick sixes within, I believe, 2 minutes.
Two consecutive passes for pick sixes. Yeah. However, it did give us one of the greatest slow motion video captures of all fucking time.
Yep, absolutely.
That is the one good thing that came out of that.
And some great images and stuff like that. All that stuff, you can see it. If you haven't seen it, pop on over to the Lineman Lounge Facebook page. I made sure to be posting that shit right away. Yeah, so Call of Duty came out the same day as that game.
Yep.
Early access for the campaign. I think it's fair to say that Kyler and FaZe Clan, they are multiplayer players. So he's more focused on that. So I think we're starting to narrow in exactly what's going on here with Kyler. This weekend, if he was playing, well, not this week, next week for him, that's when you really got to worry, because multiplayer will have been out already and he might just completely be lost in the sauce. But we can get to that next week. But overall, D-Hop comes back for the Cardinals, makes a little bit of an impact. But
he had 10 catches for 100 yards.
Yeah.
Really helped me in the fantasy.
I was just surprised that he didn't get in the end zone with all that. You saw some lesser names out there, making some impact. But realistically, it was the way that Cardinals defense really stepped up against the Saints offense, which the Saints offense was absolutely beat up big time. So congrats to the Cardinals on that win. But unless you got anything else to go over, we can start hitting on the rest of our games that are happening today and tomorrow.
The Saints, their offense needs some help. Chris Olave is a stud. Alvin Kamara does not look like himself. He needs some other guys in that offense to be weapons as well, besides just Chris Olave. He needs guys to be spread out a little bit more. They have a lot of work to do. They've got to figure out that quarterback situation. I would expect that they're going to address that this offseason. But Chris Olave is a stud. I thought
Winston was going to play. I thought Winston was going to play this game.
But
and that helps. It helps. It's not a complete fix, but it definitely would have helped.
Yeah. Andy did not help them at all. So yeah, but let's move on. Let's get into the games, and we'll start making some picks. We'll start breaking down some of these games for the week.
All right. And so it is actually going to be a little bit of a rougher week if you're trying to watch some of those more powerhouse teams. We have 4 teams on bye, as per usual when bye weeks are in effect. You have the Bills, Rams, Vikings, and Eagles, some of the best teams in the NFL right now.
Okay, dispute it.
Statistically, or at least record-wise. So you're missing out on those sorts of games, but that can still bring our focus to everything else that's going on in the NFL. So we'll start with our 10 o'clock games this morning here in Arizona, or your early games wherever you're watching around the country, or the world, I suppose. And our first game is the Falcons and the Bengals being played in Cincinnati. The line is currently Cincinnati -6.5, over under of 48.
So that's a big spread, I feel like, for a Falcons team that's been playing much better. Marcus Mariota looks like he is kind of rejuvenating his career. He is kind of surprising me. We always knew kind of what Marcus Mariota was. He was a mobile guy that could occasionally beat you with his arm. But they've done a really nice job of kind of cultivating that offense around Marcus and allowing him to, get out on the edge, do some things. They're making it work. They have a really good run game, even with Cordell Patterson being out. This seems like it's a pretty large spread for a team that is playing pretty good football. Now, I do like the Bengals in this game. The Bengals are getting better. I expect to see Joe Mixon start being worked into that offense a little bit more than he has been. I'm actually betting on that because I made a massive trade in fantasy football this week to go ahead and add Joe Mixon to my team. I had to give up some premier wide receivers, but there are also wide receivers on teams that have some injury history with their quarterbacks and are not looking great.
All right. So we do have a first question here. Do you start CMC this week? Or I believe this is Travis Etienne.
Yeah, that's what I think it is too.
So personally, I'm probably starting CMC just based off of pure talent, and that Etienne, to me, hasn't looked like a pure running back. And you have a true 2-horse stable there in Jacksonville between James Robinson, who's going to get most of the actual rushing work, and Etienne, who will get a little more receiving type work, but he has dropped some balls. Whereas CMC, they're saying they've worked some packages in for him, but if you're talking about heavy dose,
but we will see.
If you're talking about straight like run left, run right, counters, things like that, those are relatively simple concepts for a running back to be able to pick up and understand the blocking scheme, especially if he's patient. I think that they can have packages for him, but that can be a pretty large package, of what he can do out there on the field. And if they're going to do any sort of trickery or anything like that, they can flex him out of the backfield into a wide receiver spot and move Debo back into that running back spot and make it work. I think that CMC, just based off his pure athleticism, his pure skill, he's probably a better play this week because you still might see quite a bit of usage, more than some people might be expecting out of him this week. So that's personally where I would go with it, is looking at CMC over Etienne. That's just
I think CMC is going to get somewhere in that 12 to 15 touches this game. It's down for him, but he's getting worked into that offense. He can still do quite a bit of damage with that 12 to 15 touches, catches, run combo. And that offense can be very dynamic, especially when you add Debo in, because it creates matchup nightmares all over the field because, like you said, you can flex out CMC, you can put Debo in the backfield. You can fucking line them both up in the backfield. Yeah. But it would be very interesting to see. I don't know if that's in the Shanahan offense, but we could see some interesting packages coming with those two guys.
Yeah. And look, I think the Chiefs, regardless, have to pay attention to CMC being there. It wasn't something that they really had to super hardcore consider as far as like a dynamic guy being in the backfield for the 49ers, unless Debo was flexed back there. Now they actually have to give it some thought. Yeah. So it's going to change up the game at least a little bit. Even if he's back there not getting the touches, I think he'll get the snaps.
So I'm going CMC there.
Yeah. Now, getting back to that Falcons-Bengals game, I do have some statistics to go here. So first of all, the Falcons so far this year are 6-0 covering the spread. They've beat every spread so far this year. But that doesn't mean that they can't not cover the spread. And that's kind of where I'm leaning today. In the In his career, Joe Burrow is 13-6 against the spread against teams that have a 500 or better record. Currently, the Falcons are at 500. Also, Mariota is 11-20-1 against the spread in his career when he's coming off of a win. And last week they had a win. So those stats kind of are leaning towards take the Bengals on this one. And for me, I'm going to go ahead and take the Bengals money line. It's a home game for the Bengals. I do expect them to win. I do think that 6.5 is a pretty lofty spread right now. If it was just 6, I probably would be taking that Bengals. Just the hook kind of gets me. So I'm just going to go ahead and take Bengals money line on this one. Feel pretty confident about it.
Yeah, and I'm on the same boat. I'm going Bengals money line. I feel like that is the safest bet, and I have to play some safe bets to get my win percentage back up. And I think the Bengals are a better team, but 6.5 is a lot for a team that is playing much better. So, yeah, going Bengals money line there.
Alrighty. Next game, we have the Cowboys and the Lions being played in Texas. Home game for the Cowboys. This is going to be Dak's return. He is completely off the injury report as of right now. And the line is actually Dallas -7 over under of 49, which is a little bit of a large
very low. That's very low on the over under though, I think, right? The Lions are one of the best offenses in football.
They were before 2 weeks ago.
They got shut out, yeah.
So they had the bye week last week, and then obviously the Patriots shut them out. That definitely hurt a little bit, but if you remember what they were at the beginning of the year, they're a fiery, feisty team that is able to put up a lot of points and seems to have some difficulties stopping teams from putting up points on them as well. So it'll be interesting. I think this is more on Dak's comeback and whether or not that first game was a fluke of how bad he was looking, or if he's actually able to pick the team up a little bit and elevate them. I think that it won't happen this week, but I think that he is a better long-term option than Cooper Rush. Yeah. At least as far as this season is concerned. Going forward, I couldn't really tell you just yet. But 7 points is a bit much for me, especially with that Lions team being able to put up as many points as they're able to. It's not like the Cowboys are an offensive powerhouse. So for me, a big part of me does want to take the Lions plus the points here, just because of how large that spread is. Mm-hmm. And you know what? I think I'm going to do it. I'm going to go ahead and take the Lions plus 7 points on this one, because I think that they can actually hold them within a touchdown if that offense continues to be as strong as they have been. Hopefully, and I don't have any stats on this, I'm unsure how Dan Campbell has fared coming off of a bye. We only have, realistically one look at that, maybe two if we look back to his time when he was interim with Miami, but I don't know that he was interim for that long. So, hopefully Dan Campbell and his staff, I really do like his staff, even if the defense has been underperforming. They're a bunch of smart guys. They know how to get people motivated. Hopefully they've been able to prepare for this game and fix those issues that they've been having, and we might see a little bit of a different Lions team coming out here. So I'll go and take the Lions plus the points on this one.
All right. So first I got to do this.
Is that Rip? It looks like Rip to me.
Looks like Rip to me too, baby. I know it looks like Rip to producer Amber. All right. Dak is fucking back. I would expect that the Cowboys are going to play pretty goddamn good. So this lined up really nice for the Cowboys. Obviously, you don't want to lose a game, but you know what you don't want even more than that is a quarterback controversy. If Cooper Rush goes undefeated as a starter, and then you get Dak back, and then Dak struggles, there's clamoring maybe Cooper Rush is now the guy. Well, Cooper Rush goes out, he loses last week, doesn't play very well, and then you get Dak back. Dak's ready to roll. I think that they are going to play very motivated down there in Dallas. They are going to be looking to come back and get a win. I'm going to go Cowboys money line. I just think that the Cowboys are playing pretty good right now. The Lions are a scrappy team. It's really hard for me to pick against them. The points do sound good, but I'm going to play safe. I'm going to go money line. I think Dallas gets the win. I think they play really good with Dak back in there, and Tony Pollard has really been carving out a very nice role. Zeke's played better. He's still not Zeke, the same Zeke that we saw coming out of college those first couple of years in the NFL, where he was just a fucking animal. but they've done a pretty good job. I'm going with Dak, and Jerry Jones is, hey, Jerry's ready to go back out there and play some Cowboy football, and they're going to go get a dub for Dak being back in his first game.
All righty.
Got to toss the Cowboy hat on for that.
That probably is a safe pick, the Cowboys money line, because that's where I would have gone. Otherwise, my feeling is a little bit more ballsy today. Got that 52%. So I'm going to go ahead and feel a little bit more ballsy with it, and I'll take the Lions plus the points there. All right, moving on to our next game. We have the Colts and the Titans. All right, this game is being played in Nashville. The line is currently Tennessee minus 2.5, over under of 43. I do have some stats here for you on this one, but real quick, I wanted to pull something else up. If I'm not mistaken, and I'm not, Titans and Colts have already played once this year, 2 weeks ago.
This is a very close turnaround.
I don't recall seeing this sort of a quick turnaround between two teams playing each other.
A divisional game at that.
Yeah. So this game was played in week 4 at the Colts, and the Titans did take this game. It was 24-17. All right. So that's something to just be aware of a little bit. Not a ton has changed between now and then between these two teams, like it usually happens, where you have 6+ weeks in between, and then teams might have adjusted a little bit and you've been able to pick up a little bit more about your opponent. Not the case in this one. It's pretty damn recent. What is worth noting here is that Mike Vrabel is 5-4 straight up against the Colts in his career. Also, Vrabel, with at least 10 days in between games, he is 8-0, both straight up and against the spread, with an average winning margin of 19 points per game. So not only does he win when he's coming off of a long week off, he's putting up points with his team, 19 points per game. Now, this is not the same Titans team as it has been in the past, especially offensively. But it's kind of tough to argue with that because I've never been huge on the Titans and their offense in general. You know, they got Derrick Henry, and before they had A.J. Brown, but now they don't have A.J. Brown. So maybe he doesn't put up 19 points per game, but I think that they can put up quite a bit. Interesting, Matt Ryan is, I believe, second in the league right now in total passing yards.
The massive week last week.
Still the lowest scoring offense in the league, putting up less than 20 points a game. It is rough there for the Colts.
A big factor coming into this game, though, is Jonathan Taylor is slated to play in this game. He is back. So that is going to make a massive difference for that Colts offense. Now, they have not been very good. Matt Ryan did play much better. I think he's finally getting used to this offense, getting into a rhythm. Now, they had to put the game on his shoulders last week. We were throwing, 389 passing yards. So taking a little bit of that pressure off of him will be good, getting Jonathan Taylor back.
And Nyheim Hines, I believe.
I think Nyheim is also back. So they're going to have their full complement of weapons. Their defense is still really, really banged up, though. 2.5 seems to me like it's about the right number.
Mm-hmm.
I see this as kind of a 3-point game. The Colts, with the exception of the Jags, have played pretty close to damn near everybody they played. I am not 100% confident yet in this Colts team. I know we saw really, really good things out of Matt Ryan last week. I'm just not quite there yet. So for me, I'm going Titans money line because the spread is right around where I think it will be. It could be a cover. It could not be, just because the Colts have played fairly close football games, with the exception of the Jags getting their asses beat. So yeah, I gotta go Titans. Derrick Henry, I'm still not a huge fan. He's averaging under 4 yards per carry, but I think that could go up today just because how banged up that Colts defense still is. So I'm going Titans on the money line.
And I really want to take Titans on the money line here, even though I just don't like this Titans team. And I have reasons to like the Colts team other than the fact that they have not been performing. And then with them getting Jonathan Taylor back and Nyheim Hines back, and the points that you made about Matt Ryan starting to settle into this offense, it makes me want to feel better about the Colts, but I can't turn my back on the stats and stuff that I gave out. So with this being a home game for the Titans, I'm going to go ahead and take the Titans minus the 2.5 points. I don't feel great about it because I'm not big on this Titans team, but I'm going to go ahead and go for it. Titans minus 2.5.
All right. Titans minus 2.5.
All right. Next game, Packers and Commanders. The Commanders being led by our boy Taylor Heineke.
Hell
This
yeah.
is being played in Landover, Maryland. Green Bay -4 is your line, over under of 41.5. Now, this is a Green Bay team coming off of a loss to the Jets, and I fucking loved it. And it wasn't just like a normal loss to the Jets. They were getting kind of throttled. Double-digit points for most of the game. Sauce Gardner wearing the cheese head.
That is the best.
Sauce.
I'm so glad that people are starting to see how good Sauce is. I was banging the table throughout our entire draft process that this dude is legit. He is the best defensive back. He might be the best defensive player. He is your pick for the defensive rookie of the year. It's hard for me to pick a defensive rookie of the year as a corner, so that's why I went with one of our DNs. But he is legit. He has been legit for a very long time, and now people are starting to see it. He's able to do it on a big stage against the Packers, against one of the best quarterbacks in the league in Aaron Rodgers, and then had the fucking gut sack to go out there with the cheese head and just let those fans have it. He is having a good time. He has got the sauce. It was awesome. What was surprising to me last week for the Packers is how they lost. Zach Wilson still fucking stinks, guys. He still stinks. He didn't even, I think he threw maybe 100 yards in that game, and they were able to beat the Packers. So if it comes down to this Commanders team and a guy that I really like, a guy who's got a chip on his shoulder, who fucking comes in those big moments, and Taylor Heineke, I'm riding the fucking Heineke train, and I'm hopping on the Commanders to fucking cover here. I don't know if they'll win, but the Packers are not very good. They lost to a Zach Wilson-led Jets team, and Zach threw for 100 yards because he stinks. I think Heineke's better than Zach Wilson. I'm on the fucking Commanders plus 4 points.
Yeah, so the Jets are a much improved team this year, and they are proving that. We'll see here in the next 4 to 6 weeks really how good of a team that they are. But being able to go, look, you can't discount going into Lambeau and beating an Aaron Rodgers-led Packers team. That's tough.
Right.
That's very fucking tough. But they played good all around. Yeah, they didn't have a big passing day, but they had a decent rushing day, and that defense really stepped up. I was so happy for that fucking Jets win. That was awesome. It made me feel phenomenal, right down into my loins.
Yeah, I wish good for them, but God, my fucking picks.
Now this Commanders team, I fucking hate.
I can't.
I like this. So much.
I like this team so much better with Heineke though than I do Wentz. I think Heineke can get the ball out to the weapons better than Wentz can. Yeah, they have weapons. They have a lot of weapons.
And Heineke's been relatively quiet right now, which I think that's the hungry dog right now, just biding his time. Now,
waiting to get that bone, baby.
I can't take the Commanders plus the points here.
I got it. I can't do it.
It's tough for me, man. No, I can. I'm taking Commanders plus the points. Yeah, who am I fucking kidding? Dude, I got to ride this. The Packers have lost 2 in a row. If we can get to 3 in a row, woo! Is there going to be meltdown DEFCON 5 out there? Or as Kanye like to say before he gets kicked off Twitter, DEFCON 3 or whatever, because he likes to make comments about other religious groups and whatnot like a fool. But
fuck you, Joe.
Yeah, Joe Rockstar, I just sent your picture over. Yeah. I sent it over to Mike to give him a little bit of a view there.
It's like a little combo between Rip and what the fuck is the Niners mascot's name?
I don't know.
But he's got the red beard. You got the red
Charlie.
beard.
Gold Pan Charlie. Yeah, look, the Packers for me, I don't think a whole lot has changed this week other than you're just pissing off Aaron Rodgers and maybe that does something, but he hasn't, honestly, he hasn't looked good. And I know I'm super hard on him in general, but he has Sourdough Sam.
Sourdough Sam.
I'm
fucking built like sourdough right now,
But Rodgers hasn't looked good this year. He's making some bad decisions and has got some errant throws. That coupled with receivers who can't bail you out, I mean, you got Lazard, not a whole lot else.
And
Tanyan
they
is
got
getting a
Cobb's
little better.
gone. His
Cobb is
safety
out.
blanket is gone.
Yeah, Watkins, I
So-
believe, is still out as well. So you got rookies in Watson and Dobbs and Lazard, which is why they're definitely looking towards adding some receiver help before the trade deadline, unless they go out and get an OBJ. But apparently, word on the street, and this is actually a little sidebar. There were Vikings fans at the Miami game last week who saw OBJ at the game, got pictures with him, said something to him about where you going, and he said, I'm going to one of two teams, the Chiefs or the Bills, whoever gives me the bigger bag. I'm just saying, you're not seeing that reported anywhere else here other than the Lineman Lounge. So that was trending on Twitter from someone that is not a blue check who got pictures with him saying that's what he told them. So we'll see if that actually turns out. But either way, that can happen whenever. That isn't, based on the trade deadline, obviously. But yeah, for me, look, the Packers, they have to become more of a running team, and they haven't leaned into it as much as they should. I like some of the offensive weapons that the Commanders have in Jahan Dotson, Antonio Gibson, Brian Robinson, the receiving threats that they got.
Terry McLaurin, like they got
Terry
dudes
out there. Yeah, absolutely. And then on defense, not as many big names, but I think that they can still hold this Packers offense, which is already anemic. And I want to take the Commanders money line almost, but I'm going to take them plus the points here because this is a home game for them. I think that they might not get the win, but I think that they can hopefully hold them close and that Heineke can kind of be a surprise to them.
Heineke, if he goes out there and plays really well, I think that we're not going to have to worry about Carson Wentz for too long. I think Heineke can actually cement himself as being the guy. He could have that kind of Kirk Cousins type rise that we saw, because Kirk Cousins was a backup. He was a backup to RG3. RG3 goes down, Kirk Cousins comes in, plays good, plays bad, kind of not overly impressive, but was able to be efficient at times, and then was able to parlay into a very nice career contract, all of that stuff. And I think we could be seeing a similar type thing out of Heineke. I like Heineke. I like the fucking moxie the kid plays with. So yeah, I'm going Commanders. I thought the Packers would be better on defense. I really, really did. And they have not been. And their offense is not a Aaron Rodgers led offense at all. Aaron Jones has got to be more involved, but he also has not been efficient when he's got the ball. They are struggling really bad over there in Green Bay. Commanders plus the points, even though I don't love the Commanders team.
Yep. Same here. All right. And we are definitely going to try to start rattling through some of these a little bit quicker, just because we are a little over an hour away to these games to get started. So we definitely want to get through this, but still give you our takes as much as we can. So next game, we have the Buccaneers and the Panthers being played in Charlotte. Tampa Bay -13 is your line, over under of 39. And for me, it is Buccaneers money line on this one. 13 points is huge. That's a lot for a Buccaneers team that doesn't put up very much points. But the Buccaneers are easily the better team here. Panthers are reeling. They just got rid of their best player in CMC, arguably. And they are in full rebuild fire sale mode. Their thoughts are not on how to do well this season and prepare for each week. It is, how do we get the best pick in the draft? How do we trade players to get better draft capital? So for me, it is the Buccaneers in this one. Money line.
Panthers are in full-on tank mode. They are going for they're probably going for the top overall pick, quarterback of their choice, so they can bring in a coach who can also help make that selection. The Panthers are fucking terrible. The Buccaneers aren't great either, so there's no way I'm taking them to cover 13. They might, no idea, but I'm going Tampa money line as well. It's that is easy money. The odds don't pay you great. It never does when the spread is that big. I mean, Tampa's -800. You got to spend $800 to win 100. So that is a fucking layup. If you want to make a little bit of money, hammer that. If you're in a Survivor League, pick Tampa. Pick anybody playing the fucking Panthers for the rest of the year, probably, because they're just not there. They're done.
Yeah. All right, next game, we have the Giants and Jaguars being played in Jacksonville. This line actually surprises me. Jacksonville is favored. Jacksonville -3 over under 43.5. Giants are a 5-1 team right now. The Jaguars are 2-4. I don't know who's making these lines, like who's not paying attention. The Giants are actually winning and playing against some good teams and getting some wins. For me, I'm taking the Giants plus the points here in this one because I absolutely think that they are going to win this game. And I think that giving them the extra points, that just gives me that little bit more cushion. I like Jacksonville. I like what they've been doing. I think the Giants are just playing better right now. They have a solid game, running game behind Saquon Barkley. Daniel Jones is looking better. And what Dable is doing with that team is pretty impressive. They've got a year head start, it feels like, on the Jaguars, even though they both have new head coaches. So I'm taking the Giants plus the points on this one.
Yeah, so I don't understand this line at all. I mean, Jacksonville has played pretty good, but the Giants are actually really good. Brian Dable's really fucking good. He has helped revitalize Danny Dimes' career. Saquon is one of the leading rushers in the NFL. I'm going to go with the better odds here. I think the Giants win this game, no problem. So I'm going Giants on the money line because I can get that for plus 143 instead of the minus 105. I don't get it, but yeah, I'm Giants money line for sure here. I think they are a better team.
The only thing I really have to say about this is that the Jaguars do have a sneaky good defense. They have a sneaky good top 10 defense right now, statistically. And so if you're able to limit that run game from Saquon and put the pressure on Danny Dimes' shoulders, then you might have yourself a chance. But the way that Saquon has been running this year, I'm not sure if that's possible. I think that he'll still end up getting his 80 to 100 yards and a tutty. So we'll see. But yeah, I'm taking the points there for the Giants. Next up, we will go into our afternoon games unless you want to get into this early Browns game.
Alrighty. No, we'll hold off on those games till the end.
Alrighty. So next we have our afternoon games. We have the Jets and the Broncos being played at Empower Field at Mile High, however they want to call it now. But this is being played in Denver. And again, the line, Jets -1.5. Now, this was previously favored for the Broncos until the news came out about Russ. The Jets were being given points, which I thought was surprising. And for the Jets to only be favored, by 1.5 points is still a little surprising to me with Russ being out. Ripien, I saw him this preseason, did not look good. He didn't look good to me at all. So, and remember, this is Ripien who was behind Drew Lock and behind, that myriad of quarterbacks that they had there in Denver as the third stringer. He's been elevated to the second string because they fear they're not going to need to use him because they got Russ. Well, Russ is out with the bad shits from the Danger Russ sandwich at Subway. And in reality, hamstring injuries and PRP injections in the shoulders and stuff like that. So Russ is not playing. Russ had one good quarter last week. He looked pretty damn good in the first quarter and then just kind of went back to his normal self. And it's kind of funny seeing all those old Seattle players coming out and being like, oh, this guy's a punk. Neither here nor there. I'm taking the Jets here on this one, and I think that I'm taking them minus the 1.5 points. The Broncos just have not looked great this year. Their defense has looked better than the offense, but without that quarterback there, I don't think Ripien's better than Russ, and I don't think Russ was very good this year to begin with. And we didn't know Russ was going to be out until very recently. So Ripien's not gotten a full week necessarily of prep as the starter. They're going to have to limit that playbook, I'm sure, for him. Yeah, the way the Jets have been playing for me, it's got to be the Jets on this one. Robert Saleh is getting those guys fired up, and he's got his receipt book ready.
Yeah, I don't get this at all. 1.5, I don't think is enough. The Jets are a much improved team. I still think Zach Wilson fucking stinks. That's my opinion on that has not changed. He's winning games, but they're not winning because of him. They're winning because of that really dynamic backfield that they have. And they're playing good defense because Robert Saleh is a defensive head coach, and he got those boys buzzing. The Broncos have a lot of talent, but they're now getting calls. Now they're rebuking any trade calls right now because they can't punt yet on the season because they just signed Russ to a $245 million contract. if they start trading away some of those young assets now, everybody is going to be like, wow, we made one of the most egregious mistakes in the history of NFL trades. And they're not going to admit that fault yet. But the Jets are better. The Broncos are not very good. And I don't care who's playing quarterback, their head coach is still Nathaniel Hackett. If Russ is having problems getting plays in and getting things lined up and getting plays off on time, Ripien is going to have similar issues. The Broncos are not very good. I expect the Jets to win. I'm also going to take them minus the 1.5. That the spread is not enough that I'm worried about the odds there. And I mean, minus 1.5 for minus 110. Money line on the Jets is minus 125. I will take them to cover, get a little bit better odds. The Broncos are just, they're not it, man. I think everybody is surprised that they are as bad as they are. I would not be surprised if we see a one and done from Nathaniel Hackett.
I mean, I'm all for moving on something quicker if you really think it's not going to work. And at this point, I don't think Nathaniel Hackett's going to work. It'll be interesting to see if the Broncos have the balls to move on from him this quick. It really will. I would be for it. My gut tells me it's not going to happen, but we'll see.
All right. I think if they make the move, it'll be in the offseason, and I would not be surprised, depending on what their record ends up as, to see them fire Hackett and then go out and try to find another guy who wants to work with Russ, and they can find a good, harmonious relationship.
Yep. All right. Next, we have the Texans and Raiders being played in Vegas. The line is currently Vegas -7 over under a 46. These are two teams that both have one win. The Texans are obviously, as far as a roster, much worse. But the Raiders have not been playing like they have the roster that they have. So it's real surprising, though they did keep it close last week. It was 30-29 at the Chiefs. So it was a much closer game for that one than I was expecting it to be. But I almost want to take the Texans plus the points here, but I just can't bring myself to do it. So for that, I'm going to be taking the Raiders money line. I feel like that's a safer option here. Raiders playing at home, much better roster, and these Texans can be scrappy here and there, but Davis Mills is not the answer. Statistically, he's showing to be one of the worst quarterbacks in the league this year, and they don't have much else going for him on that team. They just feel like that kind of afterthought. So I'm going to go Raiders money line on this one.
And I'm following suit, man. Raiders on the money line. Houston's not very good. The Raiders have a ton of talent. They are drastically underachieving.
No, Waller's going to be out.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to matter. I really don't. I mean, Josh Jacobs has run the ball really well. Devontae is going to need to come back and have a performance after some of the things that have gone on, to kind of take away from the off-field things and redirect to what's going on the field. And that it was a good decision for him to leave Green Bay and go to Vegas. And this was another situation, though. I would not be surprised if we see a coaching change in the offseason, because they have drastically underperformed. They have another retread head coach. They're not great. I don't know why they're struggling as much as they are, but they are better than the Texans. I'm on the Raiders money line.
No, I think I already know the answer to this question from you, but if Bisaccia remained there as the head coach, better record than 1-4?
100%. No doubt in my fucking mind they're better than 1-4.
Interesting. I was really pulling for Bisaccia. All right. So moving on to our next game, we have the Seahawks and the Chargers being played in Cali. Chargers home game. The line is currently Chargers -5 points over under of 51. Injury news in this game is Keenan Allen will be a game time decision based on how he feels during warmups. He has been expected to play for the past couple weeks and then ends up a day or two before the game, ends up being ruled out. They have not ruled him out for this game. And he has said last week that he expects that he wants to play, but it's still kind of up in the air, which sucks for me because I haven't been able to play him on my fantasy team for a while. He's currently in my lineup, and I hope that doesn't bite me in the butt. The one thing to note is that the Chargers do have their bye week next week, so it almost makes sense that, hey, just take another week off and come back fully healthy here in 3 weeks. But as far as the game is concerned, the Seahawks team, they've been looking decent. They've been looking scrappy. Geno Smith is one of the top performing quarterbacks in the league right now.
Mm-hmm.
And the Chargers seem to be a very good team as far as their roster that plays down to their opponent. And a lot of that, I do think, comes down to their coach, Brandon Staley. I think that you could see a situation like when they fired their head coach. God, I can't think of the old guy's name now, but perennially getting 12 and 4 teams getting into the playoffs, and they had to let him go because, hey, you're just not making the most out of this roster with LaDainian Tomlinson and Phillip Rivers. I can't think of his name right now.
Oh God, became a really good offensive. He was the offensive coordinator. Norv Turner.
No, not Norv.
Matt Norv.
Nope. I can't think of the guy's name, and I'll look that up here while we go through your takes. For me, I'm going to take the Chargers money line here. I do like them better than the Seahawks, but I think that this could be a very close game still. I think it could be within 3 points. So that's why I'm not willing to take the spread as of right now. But it'll be Chargers money line for me.
Yeah, and I'm going the same way, man. I got to get my picks back up. Seattle has played really good football, and Geno Smith has been an absolute revelation for that team. It really stinks for Geno because he won't be the quarterback of that team next year unless he is a bridge quarterback for a guy that they draft. But I think Geno has played himself into a much longer career being a backup in this league. He has shown he can go out, he can perform. It took him a while to catch on and be able to perform like this, but you can have a very long career as a backup, and he has done enough to definitely earn himself another contract, if not with the Seahawks, somewhere else. But the Chargers are a really good team. Herbert is really fucking good. The injury is starting to not be as big of a factor. I think he is still dealing with the rib thing. I don't think it goes away in a week or two. I cannot get on the Seahawks to win. I think they could cover, but I'm going to play it safe. I'm going Chargers on the money line as well because I got to get some of these fucking picks right this week. I gotta get back up.
And this is Wes Aston still saying as of this last week that he thinks that Justin Herbert isn't going to be a starting quarterback in this league in the next 3 years, which someone needs to do a drug test on him real quick. Marty Schottenheimer is the name of the coach I was talking about back in that LaDainian Tomlinson, Phillip Rivers type era. Yeah, Chargers for me. Eckler's been looking good still. I mean, like, again, they've been playing kind of down to their opponents. They seem to be a much better team than they are playing, but they're still getting the wins. So I'm going to be going with the Chargers on this one. I do actually think that there is a possibility, though, that Geno could remain the quarterback there for the Seahawks and not just be a bridge guy. We could see a situation kind of like what happened in Washington, where they go with a lesser quarterback option in the hopes that they can get by with them being average and build up the rest of the team. You got to remember, this is a Pete Carroll team. Pete Carroll's a defensive type guy. He likes to have that kind of smash mouth run football type style where he could be like, hey, Geno looked really good this year. If they're able to work a deal with him, a 2-3 year extension that pays him okay, but not anywhere near high end where it's not affecting their cap.
Somewhere in that 6 to 10 range.
I mean, you might even be able to work up because the cap is going to jump up. The cap is going to jump tremendously with all of these new deals that are being done for TV contracts. So I could see him getting somewhere closer to 10 to 12, which is still not necessarily even starter quarterback money, but he would be the starter there with expectation that they can start to rebuild the rest of the team around him, get their cap situation fixed. I could see them possibly trying to do that, though. I think the smart play probably is going after a long-term solution at quarterback. Not here nor there. Next game, we have the Chiefs and the 49ers, and we can possibly expect a call from Joe Rockstar, so keep an eye on that phone. The line is currently Kansas City -1 over under a 49. This game is being played in California. This is a 49ers team, again, that has a change at running back coming up with CMC. This is also a Chiefs team that has a change at running back. Isaiah Pacheco is now the starting running back for the Chiefs. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is being moved out of that starting role after this week. Pacheco's getting all the starting reps. Does that really mean anything? I'm not so sure. I really like the way that Pacheco's been playing. I like the way that he's been running. You see him stand out in the games as the best all-around running back, with Jerick McKinnon coming in for spells as a receiving back or third down back. CEH has looked meh at best.
I don't even know if he's looked meh. He is so inefficient.
But Pacheco has actually looked pretty solid. He's a strong-headed runner, good between the tackles. He's not going to light you up with speed, but that's all right if you're just talking about a guy who can go out there and get you 4-5 yards on a carry, which I really like that. This is going to be an interesting game, and I think that kind of coin flip does come down to how much of an impact does CMC make. If I had to select one way or the other, I'm probably going the Chiefs in this game. Chiefs money line if there was no spread involved. With CMC being there and me not really knowing what's going to happen and the way that Jimmy G is able to make some things happen, it does make it a little bit closer for me. I don't know that I'm willing to take, even with the Kansas City -1, I don't even know if I'm really able or willing to take that at this point, with it being a 49ers home game. I don't know, man. What do you think? I got to think about this a little further.
So I don't know that we'll see enough CMC to make a huge difference. The Niners have played really good defense. They have not got a ton on offense going. I thought they would perform pretty well last week. They didn't. The Chiefs are really fucking good, man. They're really good. And now they're getting their best back to be the starter in that system for them. It's the spread's 1 fucking point.
Yeah. The 49ers are hurt a little bit on defense. So you have Jason Verrett, starting quarterback, out. Hufanaga, the re-embodiment of Troy Malamalu at safety. He is questionable from a concussion, and I think they're leaning towards him probably not playing. Eric Armstead, defensive end, out. Travarius Ward, cornerback, is questionable. Mosley's on the IR. Javon Kinlaw's on the IR. I believe that you still is a Bosa playing. I think he had a core injury.
I have
on the injury.
I have inactives pulled up. Let me see if I got anything on defense.
Maybe if Joe Rockstar wanted to call in, he'd probably know. I'm not seeing anything on the injury report for Bosa.
Eric Armstead is out for them, but Travarius Ward is questionable. Questionable for
Talanoa Hufanaga.
Yeah, I can't fucking say his name, but I don't see anything for Bosa. So look, yeah, and Rockstar just popped in there with a comment saying, "Hey, he's playing." So, man, this is a very tough game to call. I think that this line would be farther apart if the CMC trade hadn't happened, and I would feel much better about taking the Niners to cover. But 1 point, I still think that the Colts, Jesus Christ, I think the Chiefs are one of the better teams in the NFL. So I'm probably going to go with them. And we actually do have a call coming in right now.
All right, Joe, if you're still listening while Mike's doing this call going, you gotta really work me on the 49ers pick here. I might lean towards it.
2.
Joe Rockstar, you are on with the Lineman Lounge. What's going on, brother?
All right. Did you fix this rinky-dink operation so that I can hear Evo?
No, we didn't. I still don't know how to do it.
What are you doing? You got 100 subscribers now. You're making all that YouTube money.
No, we're not making any YouTube money. Trust me, we're not making any YouTube money yet. We got to have 1,000 subscribers for that. That'll be the next goal. 1,000 subscribers.
I'll make a suggestion. How about Teams? Microsoft Teams.
Actually, you know what? Hang on. Give me 1 second. So all of this comes through. That is not my phone number, but it comes through my phone. So we are set up for Google Voice. That is where all the phone calls come in through, redirected to my phone. Let me see if I can patch in Google Voice. Let's see here. How do I unlink all of this shit? I don't remember how I did any of this.
You know, a live show, we'll figure it out later.
Yeah,
that's what I was gonna say.
It's not. I'm not gonna do this right live on the show, but I will try to make sure that we'll give it a shot to see if we can pipe in the Google Voice from the computer into here, allowing everybody to hear everybody else.
Yeah, it really sucks not hearing Evo because I need to apologize to him because I kind of got on him a little bit about the fake news this week.
Oh, no.
Or was it last week? I don't know. But
It was
anyway,
last week.
all right,
He says
so
it was
Chiefs,
last week.
Niners. Yeah, it was last week. Chiefs Niners is going to need. We're going to need like a really, really good offense. Some great play calling from Shanahan. I think the team's good. Like, we've got all the pieces in place. It's just how the games are called, man. Last week was, it's kind of it is what it is. We had a lot of injuries. I don't want to make a bunch of excuses because I think Atlanta Falcons came in with a great game plan, kept themselves in third and short the whole freaking day. Kept marching down the field with those easy first downs that they had to get. So it wasn't like they played horribly. It's just it's really hard when our defense is so beat up. I think at one point during that game we only had 4 starters on the defense for probably most of the second half of the game. But anyways, Bosa is playing. CMC's supposed to play some today. I think it's just going to be special packages, but we all know CMC can make something happen with the very least of possessions. He just needs to get one good hole and he's gone for a TD. So he does have that breakout ability, the home run hitter. But I was going to say CMC MVP, but I know that'll probably spark some anger.
Running backs don't win MVP, Joe.
But
You
as
know
far
that.
as like the injury, yeah, I know the injury concerns are completely valid, but injuries are, and I put this in the Lineman Lounge, I think in one of the threads. Injuries are 100% for every player in the NFL.
Yep.
It's just some guys can play through it and some guys can't. It's the degree and severity of the injuries. So, I mean, anybody's got a chance of getting injured. As far as like what we gave up to get CMC, I think it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, considering all the compensatory picks that we're going to get for the coaches that we've lost and the ones that we're going to be losing. So I think it's gonna work out all right for the Niners. His salary is not that big of a deal right now. We got him on that 3-year contract, so we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. But yeah. I just want to say one thing because I didn't get to hear what his pick was because he was kind of sitting on the fence there and he needs to get off. If he picks the Chiefs, I think that he should dress up as Sourdough Sam for Halloween if they lose.
Nah, I mean, he's got the red beard to go with it for sure.
He does.
I'll give my comments once Joe gets off.
Amazon click away.
All right, and Evo said he's going to give his comments once you get off here. That way you can hear his takes as well. I am gonna go with the Chiefs on the money line. I think CMC will get some touches. I think he can be dynamic. I don't know if we'll see enough CMC to make a huge difference in this game. The Chiefs are still really good. You guys are good as well. The injuries are a little bit of a concern, but I think this could be a very, very close game. The spread right now of -1. I think if the CMC trade doesn't happen, we're probably looking at 2.5. But I think Vegas is trying to play a little bit into that CMC trade, people being excited. You guys are very good, but I think the Chiefs are probably the 3rd best team in the NFL right now behind the Bills and the Eagles. So I'm riding with them today on the money line.
I don't think that's a bad call, man. I'm prepared for a 49er loss today, and it wouldn't be horrible. I mean, unless we go down in an embarrassing way. I just want to see us put up a fight. But, we still have the injury bug. We're really, really hurting on that defensive line in the middle, and that's a big problem for us.
Yeah, Eric Armstead being out is a big blow.
Issue. And Kinlaw. I mean, those are our run stopper guys. The only thing I think we got really going for us is that the Chiefs aren't a big run-heavy team. But then we have another problem with 4 of our cornerbacks out and playing a bunch of either sophomores or rookies out there.
Yeah,
so we'll see what happens. Evo also deserves some serious criticism on his inability to pronounce Polynesian names. It's Talanoa Ufunga. It's like a song. You should be able to sing.
Hey, he did better than I did. I had no fucking chance.
The other guy is Troy Polamalu.
I said Troy Polamalu.
I mean, he's not famous or anything, you dick.
Yeah, he had Polamalu, I think, but he may have got the other one a little incorrect. We'll go back. We'll watch the tape. We'll assess and we'll move on from there.
Yeah, that take is definitely under review. All right, guys. I love you. Good luck with your bets this week. I'll see you when I can.
All right, brother. Thanks for calling in. We appreciate you.
All right. Late.
Later. All right. I was hoping that Joe would convince me to take the Niners here. I am not taking the Niners. I'm taking the Chiefs money line because of some of that criticism. I almost want to take the Chiefs minus the points at this point. I was really hoping I'd hear something about the Miko Ryan's going to be a future head coach next year. You know, trust this guy, that sort of stuff. I will take credit for not saying Hufunga's name or whatever correctly because I don't know it, but I do know the state fish of Hawaii is Huma Huma Nuku Nuku Apua Ao. I can say that shit all fucking day, no problem. And I know Troy Polamalu. I will not be dressing up as Sourdough Sam regardless for Halloween this year because one, I don't operate under the threats of terrorism, and two, I already have a Halloween costume set up and not enough time to make that happen. Even if I were to do it for the show or something like that, I would be willing to do it for the show. Like wear it on the show, but I just don't got enough time to make that happen. I don't think with basically like less than a week to make that happen. So look, for me, it is going to be the Chiefs just because I think the 49ers being at home could make this a close one. I do think you're right about Vegas probably trying to play, the emotional odds of CMC being there to an extent. And I want to get on board with that emotional odds. I do, with it being a home game for him and bringing him in. I think that, yeah, he'll get some packages, but I think that he might surprise people with how many actual plays he's out there for. He might not get a ton of touches, but I think they're going to put him out there, even if it's as a decoy. But for me, I'm just going to take the Chiefs money line in this one. I do think they are probably one of the 3 best teams in the NFL right now. So I'll go ahead and stick with that.
All right. So one other thing I want to talk about here is with the CMC thing. Now, obviously, his dad was a very, very good football player, right? Yep. Ed McCaffrey was an absolute stud. And I've seen a lot of people, like even Schefter's like, it all comes full circle. CMC goes out to the 49ers where his dad played. Ed McCaffrey, I understand, played with the 49ers, but Ed McCaffrey's not a fucking 49er. When you think of Ed McCaffrey, what team did he play for?
Broncos.
Yeah, he's a fucking Bronco. He's not a goddamn Niner. Like, I understand that he played there for a little bit. Mike Shanahan was offensive coordinator, became the head coach of the Broncos, and that's where he went. That's where he made his fucking career. He's a Bronco. He's not a 49er. Yeah, that is hilarious. Hey, the one on the left there and the one in the middle look pretty fucking close. Now you can't see the faces,
tough.
but
I don't know if they're going to make this any better. Maybe no.
Now the faces are just too bright. Hey, that's one good looking son of a bitch on the left. The guy in the middle is pretty good as well. I know producer Amber, big fan. Guy on the right, it doesn't fit there. Now the beard, great. Cowboy hat obviously goes together, but hey, there's a reason I went as Rip one year for Halloween. He is an absolute fucking stallion, just like the man right here. And so
the driver of our haunted hayride last night was Rip.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah. Asked if we were planning on taking a ride to the train station.
Listen, I need my picks to get as hot as fucking a Yellowstone fucking brand from Rip Wheeler. That's what I need. So I got to stick with fucking Kansas City here. It just makes more sense to me. They're really fucking good. The Niners are good as well. I actually think that they have a chance to win that division because they have not been playing very good over there. The Rams look like they're in turmoil, but sticking with my pick on the Chiefs for that game.
Alrighty, and Amber, as you have requested, the picture has been sent via Facebook Messenger. All right, moving on, because we got to get through these games. We have our Sunday night game, Steelers and Dolphins. All right, this game is being played in Miami. Tua is back. The line is -7.5 for Miami, over under at 44.5. Tuanon is back in full force.
Yeah.
Does he get concussed again?
He says he was not concussed in the first game. He has come out and said that it was a back injury. I don't know if I believe him. I think he is trying to help the organization a little bit. But I don't know if he gets concussed again. I hope he doesn't, man. I don't want to see a career tarnished or possibly ruined due to injury, especially concussions, because of all the things that we know now about concussions. and the damage they can cause long term. I'm hoping that Tua comes back, plays well, and they look good. And I don't think that they're going to have too many issues with this Pittsburgh Steelers team, who obviously surprised a lot of people last week by going out and beating the Buccaneers. But I'm not there. I'm not on the fucking Steelers at all. Miami is a better team. Tua is a better quarterback than anybody they trot out up there in Pittsburgh. And now that he's back, that offense, I think, is going to go a little bit better than it was going before. I talked about it a little earlier. I made a trade in fantasy. I got rid of Jalen Waddle and I got rid of Cortland Sutton. Obviously, those guys are very, very good receivers. A lot of question marks at quarterback for both of those teams. So I made that flip. I went out and got Joe Mixon. I needed a running back like you would not believe. Also, Pacheco is now no longer available in our fantasy league.
Oh, okay. Now, to this question, actually, I do know Lou Sassel. I believe he's friends with Mike Oxlong, Jenny Tolles, Vic Legina, and Pat Phoenix. So for whoever sent that, we can't really tell us his Facebook user. I did make a slight mistake here. I forgot to give out some stats, which could have possibly changed things for that Chiefs 49ers game. So Jimmy G is 16-4 against the spread as an underdog, and he is 12-1 against the spread with a total of 50 or lower as an underdog. So 50 or total over under points. He is 12-1 against the spread. So we're kind of fitting that over under together. So those stats actually are leaning towards the 49ers. At this point, though, when I had grabbed these stats, that CMC trade hadn't happened. Not that that it makes a difference in those stats because this is all historical. But it is something to keep in mind. If you did want a reason to go for the 49ers in this one, I was hoping Joe would give us one, but I'll give you one there in those stats. Now, considering this Steelers-Dolphins game, some stats here. Tua is actually 10-3 against the spread when playing at home, and the Steelers are 4-11 against the spread in their last 15 primetime games. That's not even looking at the fact that the Steelers have just kind of been a dumpster fire. Not that great. Pickett should be playing. And I'm hoping that if I need to play George Pickens because Keenan Allen isn't going to play for some reason, that Pickens will look good for me because that's going to be who my replacement is. Now, I'll say this. I'm not a doctor, so I don't know whether or not Tua should be playing or not. It is pretty worrisome what happened to him with the concussion and how rough that one was. But I got to see this Dolphins team firsthand last week when my Vikings played them, and they played us really well. They were able to move the ball well. Part of that is the way that this Vikings defense has been playing. They are the epitome of the bend not break, where they're giving up a ton of yards. And if you get into the red zone on them, you are scoring. But if you aren't getting in the red zone on them, you're probably not getting very much point-wise. I got to say, when Skylar Thompson was playing, he looked pretty damn good against us. The fact that they pulled him out, I felt like it was a cop-out. He had a bloodied thumb. I wish they would have kept on playing him. We might have lost that game if he kept playing because he definitely had the arm strength and wasn't really making mistakes. He was doing pretty damn good against us. And then Teddy came in, the arm strength you saw kind of go away, and he was getting pressured a ton. Vikings' highest pressure in all their games this year was against that shoddy offensive line that Miami has. And yeah, they were getting after Teddy, flustering him, and he was not making great throws. But this Miami team is definitely for real. They definitely could have won that game. My caveat here with my Vikings being on bye is that at this point in the season, with us being 5-1, I feel great about that. I'll take every win that I can get, even if it's close games. I definitely think this team is going to win the NFC North. But I kind of, and this is where we're going to get a little bit beyond PG-13 rated here, talking about my team. I kind of feel like the Minnesota Vikings are that brand new, super hot porn star that hasn't actually acted in any of her videos yet. She's got a lot of potential, and it's going to be a fucking blast to watch later on. But it might have some rough patches, but you know that the potential is there. And that's what I'm seeing on this Vikings team is that they are not firing on all cylinders yet, especially on offense. The defense is slowly starting to turn around and figure out who they are, but they just don't have the players this year set up to be a 3-4 defense. The offense looks real good. And once they actually start getting everything in their playbook and really all getting on the same sheet of music, that offense could really explode and be dangerous. But I'll get off that because my Vikings are on bye this week, and I'll take the week off. It's kind of nice. For this game, it is an easy win for Miami for me. I think the 7.5, it's probably going to be close to a touchdown, if not more. But I don't like taking, games that or spreads that have that hook on it. I'm just going to take the easy out here. Dolphins money line should be a fairly easy win. Hopefully Tua stays safe and healthy. And that's if I have to play Pickens, hopefully he has himself a nice game at wide receiver.
Yeah, I'm going Miami money line as well. That's a lot of points. We'll see what happens with Tua back, but they are a far better team than the Steelers. So Miami on the money line.
All right. So Monday night we have the Bears and the Patriots. So this is a shitty Bears team and a Patriots team that was able to go and put up a huge spread there against the Lions. And then last week they have a win against your Brownies.
Yeah.
Bailey Zappi. Is he the answer?
Stud.
Yeah.
I think he could potentially be the starting quarterback there. I really, really do.
I think that he's Mac Jones, except for more exciting and a little bit higher ceiling.
Yeah, I agree. I think so as well. I think they're going to have a quarterback controversy there pretty soon. And the Bears stink. I expect Bailey Zappi to go out and fucking dice them up. For me, there's no question.
What better way to have an introduction to primetime football for Bailey Zappi than to go up against a shitty team like the Bears?
Yeah.
So it's definitely New England in this game for me. Again, I'm going to take New England money line because it's -7.5, and I don't like that hook. So I'm just going to go with the easy out there, New England money line for me on this one. And expecting Bailey Zappi to have himself a mid 200-yard passing game, 1 to 2 touchdowns. No INTs, and a lot of Ramondre Stevenson out of the backfield running against this Bears defense. This is a Bears team too that, again, they are probably looking at full rebuild mode. So you might be seeing their linebacker get moved here before too long to someone.
Yeah, I would imagine that's going to happen.
I don't really have a whole lot of good things to say about this Bears team. We'll see what Justin Fields can do against Belichick. Like I said, I think that Fields has potential if he was in the right offensive system and had a team that was willing to put pieces around him. That is not the case on either front right now. So, yeah, for me, it's just Patriots money line on this one.
Yeah, agreed. The Bears are not very good. They run the ball well, but the Patriots did a really good job last week against us, one of the best rushing attacks in football. And they were able to kind of stop that from happening. They know they're going to be able to game plan and stop the run. The Bears just don't have the juice. They're going to be one of the worst teams in the NFL. I expect New England to kind of walk in there and take care of business. I'm going New England on the money line. I'm not enough for me to say that they're going to cover, but I definitely like them here on the money line.
All righty. And then that allows us to jump back in time to one of our games that's going to be starting here pretty damn shortly in the Browns and the Ravens being played in Baltimore. The line is Baltimore -6.5, over under of 46. This is a tough game. I know that it's a bit of a rivalry there. Game that you would really hope that you guys could hold up against this Ravens team. How are you feeling about the Brownies right now?
Not good. Not fucking good at all. Our defense has been continuing to play terrible. There have been several calls for Joe Woods' job, and I believe that the majority of them are fucking justified. They just cannot get it together. We did not do a good job of offensive game planning last week. We came out and we decided we were just going to fucking try to air the ball out with Jacoby Brissett, and it did not work. Nick Chubb only got 12 carries. We did not establish the run hardly at all. We have been just grasping at straws on this team. We are not there. We are not prepared on a week-to-week basis. There are some potential firings coming, I think, in the not too distant future with our coaching staff. I believe Joe Woods is definitely gone. When that happens, I don't know. And if Stefanski cannot put together a game plan that is conducive to this offense, there is a potential that he is going to be on the hot seat very, very quickly. People in Cleveland are fed up. We have a ton of talent on this team, and we are not utilizing that talent. Now, we've got some guys that have not been playing great. Denzel Ward is a Pro Bowl corner, and he has played like absolute trash. Do I think that Denzel Ward forgot how to play football? No, not at all. I believe that the coaching has hindered what these guys can do. So I do not feel confident in the Browns at all this week. I don't know if they could even cover, but I'm not going to take them to lose by that much. I do think the Ravens will beat us. I don't think the Ravens are very good. I talked about it last week. Their defense is not great. They lost to that Giants team, who is much improved. I do not feel confident in my Browns at all right now. I'm not sure anybody in the Cleveland area feels confident about the Browns right now. Baseball season's over, so it's time to switch our attention to the Cavaliers because they're going to be really fucking good, and the Browns are just going to continue to cause us heartache. I don't see this going our way. Will I be very happy to get this pick wrong? Abso-fucking-lutely. Do I want us to win? 100%. I want my winning percentage to go up on our picks, but will I take a loss to see my Browns pull their heads out of their asses and get a dub? Absolutely. I just cannot do that in good conscience for my pick today. I'm going with the Ravens on the money line because we can't figure things out. And I mean, Lamar Jackson, he's going to run for 100 yards on us, I feel like. That's how our defense has played today. That's how our defense has played all year. I could see Lamar going for 100. And if you want an anytime touchdown bet for the day, if you can get it in real quick, Mark Andrews. Mark Andrews is definitely scoring a touchdown today. No doubt in my fucking mind. So I don't like the way we're playing, and yeah, it's not great. I'm ready to root for the Cavs in Ohio State.
Yep. Now the Ravens are down J.K. Dobbins. He won't be playing, but they haven't really had a whole lot of a rushing attack from those running backs to begin with this year. Nothing really to write home about. And I mean, Lamar Jackson has been having a semi-MVP worthy or MVP conversation type of year, and your Browns have been struggling. The one thing that I will say for them is that they do tend to play games pretty damn close. With the spread being 6.5 here, that might be worth looking at if you're wanting to take the Browns plus the points there. But like you, I'm not willing to take that bet just yet. I'm going to be going Ravens money line in this one. I do think Ravens playing at home versus a struggling Browns team. That's probably the safest bet here.
Yeah, I don't see any other way it could go, man. Like, don't get me wrong. Like I said, I'm going to be very pleasantly surprised if it goes the other way. It doesn't feel like this team is firing on all cylinders. We got John Johnson III out in the media saying we need guys to be all in, even when they leave the fucking facility. Apparently, there are some people in the locker room who are maybe not taking it as serious as they should be, and we're banged up, man. It's not going to be good. Luckily, I'm going to probably just be carving some pumpkins with the family while the game is on, and I'll be more focused on, making a badass pumpkin than watching the Browns get their ass kicked today, because I feel like that's coming.
Alrighty. Fair enough. Well, that wraps up this week of football.
So before we get out of here, I want to do a quick rundown. Inactives that we have. I mean, we got 20 minutes. If you have not checked your fantasy shit, make sure you do that right now. Big time inactive. So like you just said, J.K. Dobbins is out. He is going to the IR. It'll be running back by committee with Gus Edwards, who's coming back, Kenyon Drake, and Justice Hill. Other inactives, DeAndre Swift out. We talked about that a little bit. Randall Cobb is out. Christian Watkins is out. Who else we got? Kenny Galladay and Kadarius Toney, non-factors, but they are also out. They have been out. So this is kind of big, and this will be an interesting thing that we talked about with the Commanders. We took them plus 4 points. Jahan Dotson is inactive today. So Curtis Samuel and Terry McLaurin are really going to have to step up. They are also missing Logan Thomas with a calf injury for the Commanders. So that could kind of sway some of the things that what we said, but I mean, I don't feel great about the I don't feel great about the Packers at all. Defensive side, J.C. Horn is out for Carolina. We got Matt Ioannidis out for Carolina. There's a chance that they won't cover, but 13 points is a lot. Jadeveon Clowney will play today, thank God. But Denzel Ward is out with a concussion. Not that we're going to miss him too much. He has not been very good. Shaq Leonard out for Indianapolis still. In our later games, Russell Wilson, we talked about it. He is out. Joshua Kelly out. So we're going to see a lot of Sony Michel and Austin Eckler for the Chargers. Keenan Allen, questionable. We talked about that game time decision. Dustin Hopkins, their kicker, is out. So we saw him kind of battle through kicking some kicks. That could make a big difference, bringing in a kicker kind of off the street, getting him going. Hopefully that won't come back to bite them. Darren Waller, we talked about, out. Hunter Renfrow is questionable as well. Defensive, we talked about this at length with the 49ers. They have got a ton of guys out in their secondary on the defensive side. So that is not great. Jalen Waddle and Skylar Thompson questionable for Sunday night's game. So keep a close eye on that. I don't know if we'll have to worry about Skylar too much. Tua should be back. Hopefully he plays well. But if Jalen Waddle is kind of banged up and can't go, we will see a little bit of a step back in that offense for those guys. But I wanted to do a quick rundown on inactives since games are coming up in about 19 minutes, guys. Go out there, make your bets. You got a little bit of time if you have the opportunity. You've heard our picks. Make sure you set your fantasy lineups. You now know who is in, who's out, where we're thinking, what we're going with. And, this was fun. I like doing the little Sunday morning show. It gives us an opportunity to get things fresh and give out new information. We're not necessarily going to be killed for, we're going to take this team and then they're missing a massive piece of their team that we were not aware of until Sunday morning. So,
yeah, that's the nature of betting. You can sometimes get some really cool lines early on in the week where things change, and sometimes it bites you in the ass, but it is what it is.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, guys, we're going to get out of here. I'm going to carve some pumpkins. We're going to get ready for some fucking football. And thank you guys so much. You guys are fantastic. You guys got us over that 100 subscriber mark. I'm working on getting that URL changed. That way everybody can find us much easier. And then if you guys want to listen to the show on any podcast platform, we are there. You can join us live on the YouTube, Facebook. We also go live on Twitter if you are only on Twitter. And we just can't thank you guys enough. We've continued to grow. You guys have been fantastic. We've had a ton of people join that Facebook group, and we're getting a lot more interactions elsewhere in the social media space as well. So, guys, from the bottom of my heart and for Evo, we thank you so much. Enjoy your Sunday. Go Browns. Fuck. Enjoy your weekend. I'm going to go carve some pumpkins. See you.
See you.
Welcome to the Lineman Lounge, hosted by Mike and Evo, calling their shots and being outlandish.
Breaking news from the Lineman Lounge. My fantasy football team just took a huge fucking hit. And that also makes it even more likely that the Raiders are going to beat the Ravens on Monday night. Le'Veon Bell is about to be your starter. Latavius Murray is going to go there as well. Jesus, fuck my ass.
Get ready for the thickest podcast in the game. Coming to you from Hangar 6, where sleeves are